What
So
did you want to talk about with Elon specifically? I remember you said you wanted to be out. What exactly?
So we just had a whole conversation, and if you are just watching this episode right now, go back and watch our last episode about Trump and Vladimir Putin. But we just had a whole conversation about how the only ethical moral code that these far right groups follow is what advances what advances my in group is morally good, and what hurts my in group is morally bad. And the inverse is that is whatever hurts the out group is morally good, and whatever helps the out group is morally bad. And I want to talk about Elon Musk for a second here, because he is such a poster child for that mindset. And we've talked a lot in the past, and we're not the only persons who have made this comment, but how Elon Musk is such a great example, just in the most public possible example of how being rich doesn't mean you're smart. And just seeing what he's done to Twitter should very clearly demonstrate that to people. Well, it should also demonstrate this obvious hypocrisy in right-wing thought process, because I've been seeing a lot of chatter recently about how, oh, Elon Musk used to be a Democrat. The Democrats moved so far left that Elon Musk just had to join the conservatives. And it's like, he was a Democrat, like, in the same way that fucking, I don't know, Nancy Pelosi's a Democrat. Like, it doesn't, the ideology didn't fucking cause him to be a Democrat. Democrats haven't moved left and left Elon Musk behind. Elon Musk has moved right because of the demographic shifts that have happened within the parties. Elon Musk is a dyed-in-the-wool fucking apartheid goddamn South African. And when you understand that, it explains everything else. Case in point, I'm going to pull up. This is a. Oh shit, I had it prepped, and then now it's not prepped because did I just.
Well,
I think I changed the tab.
yeah, I know. It's tricky like that.
I want to pull up this tweet from Elon Musk, and you're going to think that it couldn't possibly be the same Elon Musk that is openly campaigning for Donald Trump.
I know the tweet. Yep.
And saying that Democrats are a threat to democracy, that if the Democrats win, we're never going to have a real election again because they're going to bring in all these fucking immigrants, and just literally openly just advocating for white replacement theory, right? Like, this is what Elon Musk is doing on Twitter. And this is a tweet from Elon Musk just 2 years ago, TJ.
2 years, yeah.
ago.
It's wait, this is like right when he took over Twitter, right? Am I guessing that's the one?
It was either right before or right after. I forget exactly what it was.
Yeah.
4/27/22. For Twitter to deserve public trust, it must be politically neutral, which effectively means upsetting the far right and the far left equally. That is the man who is currently, 2 years later, actively campaigning for Donald Trump. And not in the way where he's just giving his opinion on shit, literally joining him on the stage at campaign events. And also taking the Twitter handle of America and using it to literally give people $47 for registering to vote and saying they're pledging their vote to Donald Trump. It's like that is the level to which the hypocrisy stands. And there's no fucking way, there's no way in hell that you can make an argument that that is ideologically consistent. No, it's not. It's only because he wants to advance the interests of his in-group. That's what it always is. It's what it always fucking is, TJ. And it just pisses me off that, like, people just can't fucking acknowledge this. And I think a lot of the problem is that the people, like, Democrats do it too. And so, like, they won't call it out. But, like, I don't know.
What do you mean?
What are your thoughts?
What do you mean? They won't call it?
Democrats also have a fucking awful in-group, out-group mentality. Like,
I see.
They also will do the thing where, like, they're like, oh, yeah, Donald Trump putting kids in cages, his immigration policy was fucking awful. It's an affront to humanity. But when Joe Biden does it, they're quiet as a fucking peep. You know, like, it's not about the consistency in their worldview. It's about good guys and bad guys. You know.
Yeah, there is some suspicious inconsistency too when the Democrats do this. And it's, you know what? It's kind of like what we were talking about before with how Republicans will embrace you the second you start saying anything they kind of agree with. And the Democrats are doing this now with with Donald Trump and how we've had this renaissance for George W. Bush that, oh, he was actually a good president when he was not. And I think it was it Waltz and Harris or just Waltz who were saying, they said in their closing remarks at the debate that we're very proud to have Dick Cheney endorsing us. And I was like, why? Why are we walking around bragging? Because the Republicans have an easy dunk, and I don't blame them for it. It's a good one. It's like, oh, you guys want... Because this their hypocrisy, too. Because, folks, if you weren't around back then, they loved Dick Cheney. They loved him. Like, Dick Cheney was very popular, along with George W. Bush, the entire time that they were conducting those wars.
If Dick Cheney supported Trump, they'd still love him.
Like they would, exactly, yeah, all right, which doesn't speak well for the Democrats. It's like, okay, thanks, Dick, but we're not going to brag about this. Because do you remember when Joe Rogan kind of hinted that he was supporting Bernie Sanders, and there was this huge discourse on the left of, oh, should he embrace Joe Rogan? Should he brag about the Joe Rogan advancement? Because, if he starts saying that he accepts Joe Rogan's endorsement, that what does it say? No, Dick Cheney, though, we got him. Like, we got him. Like, kill a couple million people and you'll be good to go. That was kind of weird. I do think I want to disagree with a little thing you said, John, and in the very beginning, and I mean, you'll probably agree, but it's like, was you were saying the Democrats haven't moved left? I mean, substantially, no, but socially, definitely. Like the Democrats have definitely socially moved left since, I don't know.
I guess that's
what he means.
Finish your thought.
Yeah,
I
that's
want you
what
to
he means.
Finish this.
Because, I mean, there's this myth that has just been pervasive and throughout American culture that, well, the Democrats want high taxes, the Republicans want low taxes. They want pretty much the same. There's almost no difference. There is almost no difference in the past 40 years with tax policy. Like ever since everyone's trying to be Ronald Reagan. The main difference that you'll see are social differences. So I pulled up this picture that Elon Musk shared. Let me make sure I got the right tab. Yeah, it's liberals. So Elon Musk shared this picture. I think the date's on here so I can find out when he shared it. But he was explaining his current position. And in the picture, it's from 2008. And it shows the fact that, he was on the left in the blue over there. And then the left kept moving further and further away until 2021. He's been encompassed by the right. Now, that's not entirely incorrect. I don't think that's actually a bad chart if you think about it. Because if you are someone who is on the left in, say, 2008, like before the Democrats were openly in favor of gay marriage, and then the Democrats start moving further and further, and they support it. That's a better image. So yeah, if you start there and the Democrats move further, actually, yeah, we're cool with gay marriage. And hey, this trans thing, we should start accepting them more. Maybe we start using these pronouns. In your mind, the party is moving further and further left, and you're staying in the same spot. But the thing is, if you stay in the same spot for a long enough time, that's definitionally a conservative. If you were a liberal Democrat in 1967 and like, oh, well, I haven't moved and now I'm conservative. Yeah, that's exactly how it works. Like, I don't think it's incorrect. It's kind of cowardly, but they just don't want to admit that they're conservatives now. That's just that was my only disagreement.
So there's a lot here, TJ, mm-hmm. and I'm going to say some things that might come off as contradictory, and I'm going to try and land the plane. Because, I do think, from the perspective of Elon Musk, the Democrats have substantially moved left, specifically within the Biden administration, on two key things which are important to Elon Musk. Mm-hmm. One, and this isn't a result of Democratic policy, but they've let in a lot more fucking immigrants. And the apartheid racist that Elon Musk cannot abide by that. Now, is that a result of Democratic policy? Fuck no. The same thing would have happened under Donald Trump. But it does piss him off, and I get that. The other thing that Democrats have done, which specifically pisses Elon Musk off, they've been way more pro-labor. They have moved left when it comes to labor. Mm-hmm. And it's something that I think the left doesn't give Joe Biden enough
That's true.
For.
That's true.
But like the NLBR has been emboldened by the Biden administration, will continue to be emboldened by the Kamala Harris administration. And any Democrat that takes over after that, if we are so fortunate, it's going to be a very pro-labor party moving forward. And Elon Musk, the union buster that he is, cannot abide by that. So if he's looking at it from that perspective, from the labor perspective, as a staunch fucking anti-union capitalist, I will agree with him that it has legitimately moved left and placed him on the right. However, where I disagree is this social bullshit. Because I fundamentally, like, you're right, sort of, kind of, yeah, the Democratic Party has moved left socially, but have they? Like, besides gay marriage, what other fucking social policy has changed from the Democrats? Like, besides that one thing, which every fucking Republican now says they are okay with. They're not.
They're
but,
not.
like, they say it's cool. So, with that exception, TJ, in what actual policy position have the Democrats moved left on social issues?
I don't know if it's necessarily policy because they wouldn't need to make one generally. I guess they could. They could like make policy saying that, you know, we are going to, I don't know, the tampon Tim kind of thing. That, hey, we're aware that transgender people exist, so if a school needs feminine hygiene products in a boy's bathroom, we can do it. That they jump minor shit doesn't really matter, but generally it would be just like. And honestly, this stuff kind of annoys me too in a little bit, where the Democrats will focus a lot on the messaging about a culture issue because, you know, they don't really want to make a whole lot of policy stuff. So they will, you know, like, I was trying to think of thing one. But like, remember how they're still trying to do it, I think, where they refer to Latinos as Latinx or something.
That's
You know,
dumb.
yeah, right. And you talk to people like Latino people, they say, yeah, no, that doesn't make sense. Like that doesn't work in Spanish. Like I get what you're trying to do, and so like stuff like that. And so like little messaging things that just annoy them so much. Like, well, I guess I'm a Republican now, and or you know, just acknowledging that you know, different minority groups or you know. We're gonna saying Black Lives Matter, just like stuff like that, just stuff that you know you can just say out loud and message. It infuriates people on the right, and you're right, they're not necessarily policy positions, but they are a cultural shift and a cultural change. And so you know, Elon Musk comes up there and he tries to say, you know, oh, I can't say the R word anymore. What are you talking about? This is an affront on my free speech. That's what it really comes down to, in my opinion.
Yeah, and again, that's not Democrats.
Yeah, it's not
There's been
Democrats,
no
you're right,
law
yeah.
implemented or even like
Yeah.
hinted at by Democrats saying it's illegal to say the R word.
Right.
now. It's just that people who are Democrats are less comfortable with hearing that word
Yeah.
now and will get upset if you say it. And you don't like that.
Yep.
And this is why I'm always like, it's fucking bullshit, because we're gonna go right back to this fucking tweet, TJ, of we need to piss both sides off
Oh Christ.
equally.
Oh.
This is the South Park
Yes.
philosophy.
Oh God.
It's the we can if you actually believe that, I'm cool with you. But then you cannot say that because they've moved left socially in the words that they use, they must be I must join the other party now. No, if you don't care about identity politics, you can't use a shift in identity politics as a reasoning for switching your party. Either you care about identity politics or you think they're stupid. If you think they're stupid, there's no reason to change party because one is talking about identity politics. You should just go on policy. And if the policy hasn't shifted, which it fucking hasn't for almost everything, what you're just lying to us. Like it's just a fucking lie. We know it's a lie because of the reasons that we detailed earlier. But again, I just wish they'd be fucking honest about it.
Yeah, but they have to respect Elon Musk's opinion because he's rich. Okay, I'm sure if you've ever criticized Elon Musk online, you'll get, well, where's your $100 billion? You're so smart. You know, what agencies are you the CEO of? If you're so smart, this guy is clearly a genius. Because this is why the genius myth still persists, despite everything we see about Elon Musk. And we say this all the time. Well, I do. I know John does, but I say it all the time that I don't like, once again, I'm not saying that people who communicate poorly or are, you know, bad speakers in public or poor public speaking skills are unintelligent. That's not what I'm saying. However, if it's on the fence, if it is on the fence on whether or not you're a bright person and you get up there and stumble through 6 or 7 words like Elon Musk, I would never make a public speech. I would never do it. I keep it mysterious. Like, billionaires used to be secluded and cool. Like, even hell, Mark Zuckerberg, one of the weirdest people alive, people would rank him as way cooler than Elon Musk. And because Zuckerberg knows better than to just, go out there and start, running his mouth all the time. And I wanted to talk about what you mentioned with the both sides thing, that Elon, once again, that's something fucking stupid people say when they're like, well, if I pissed off both sides, I must be doing something right. No. In what context is that ever true? That these two positions that just happen to represent the 2 major political parties of the United States at this particular time are the full extents and the parameters of this conversation. So the middle of this must be correct. It's arbitrary. It makes no sense at all. And it's how millions of people seem to think. Like, you say this out loud, applause, people are like, oh yeah, that's a free thinker right there. Someone who pisses off both sides. If you say that, you are either stupid or lazy. There is no third option. It is one of those two, probably both. And Elon Musk, that definitely does fit him, to a T.
There is a grain of truth in that, of like, you should be willing to piss off both sides.
Two different.
But that's a very different statement than if you're pissing off both sides.
Exactly.
You are right.
Yeah.
Like they're completely different. Because I agree. You should be willing to make fun of your own side. Mm-hmm. Whichever side you're on, you should be willing to make fun of it. In fact, you should be more willing to make fun of it. And if you can't do it, it is a sign that you are in a fucking cult. But it doesn't mean that if you do piss off both sides, you are correct. Like, that's just again, I can't watch South Park anymore, kind of because of it. It's really sad.
No one really believes that either. No one really believes that, because they have positions that are like, well, yeah, obviously the First Amendment is good. Like, within certain parameters, yes, there need to be protections, fire and crowded theater and all that. But overall, the First Amendment is good. I don't need someone to have. Actually, the First Amendment is bad. Free speech shouldn't be a thing. Like, the government should be able to lock you up for saying I disagree with the actual. Like, I don't need to both sides this. And also the concept that there are 2 sides. Absurd. Ridiculous. They just accept it. And it's like, Jesus Christ. We shit on the United States for the propagandists and everything, but they've done a hell of a job, man. They've done a hell of a job these last 100 years. Oh, geez, more than that. But saying that, well, these are... how people say that there's a liberal media, and that kind of makes us laugh, that they think the media is liberal. The media is corporatist, obviously. But I remember listening to Noam Chomsky talk about this. A lot of people probably heard this, but he was saying that the media kind of is liberal, and it kind of is liberal by necessity, because like the New York Times or CBS or whatever, they set the limit to where public discourse can go to the left. Like, anything further to the left than what you'll see on corporate media is seen as, unpatriotic, as revolutionary, as radical, as extreme. Even just so you say your position is like, oh, well, isn't that kind of extreme? Well, what's wrong with that? Well, what's wrong with it? Are we about talking about ideas or not? So in a way, it kind of is, and it's just... I just can't. Once again, it goes back to the lazy fucking thinking. There are 2 sides: Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal, and that's where I'm going to keep my entire conversation. Not going to expand any further than that.
One thing I will say to wrap this up is that I don't know if you get this because you make different content than I do, but I make a lot of content directly, representing conservative arguments. I do I'm speaking on this side. I'm speaking on this side.
I call it Jon and Dumb John. That's what I call it in my head when I watch. Oh, it's Jon and Dumb John. That's so yeah.
And so, all right, guys, you made it to the end of the video. Once again, go you. You are our favorite viewer, especially if you've liked and subscribed. It's just me and TJ here this week. We'll have a guest here again next week, and they will tell you where to find them. But this week, TJ, let's just close it out.
Let's just do it. You know what? I really appreciate those of you, the conservatives who hate watch. Your comments are very funny to me. Very funny. Not insightful, not clever, not thoughtful, not informative anyway, but they do make me laugh. So keep up the great work, folks. We really appreciate it.